What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Make Money and Have Fun show. I'm super excited. As most of you know by this point, we finished our first week off, and now we are heading into the second week of what I like to call Author Month. That's right, February, this month, I'm going live every single day. So I'm doing something totally different, totally out of the box. Instead of going live once a week, I'm going live once a day this month to talk to different authors, influencers, authorities, experts, and just generally awesome people. And today I have one of my favorite guests yet, so let's get started.
My motto in life is make money and have fun. I'm on a mission to show everyone how to make money, yeah, and have fun. I'm all about making money and having fun.
All right, so here's the deal. If you're hanging out with us, if you're listening to us, give us some thumbs up in the comments section down below, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're at, checking us out. Let us know that you're here. Show us some love. Give us some hearts. Give us some wow faces. And also let us know that the volume's working and that everything's working okay. Because I got something going on with my speakers. They're not as loud as they should be. So I don't know. I probably broke something because I'm not that good at technology. But anyway, let's get into it. So today's guest is one of my favorite people. So she is super cool. Miss Johnnie Urban has such a story to tell. So she's done so many different things, from public speaking to coaching to mentoring to writing books, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm just as excited as you are to hear her story. So let's welcome Miss Johnnie Urban. What's up, Johnnie?
Hey, Fred. That was a great introduction. Yes. And
right? Can you hear everybody clapping for you?
Yes. I can hear them. Standing ovation.
Exactly.
You're one of my favorite people, too. Did you know that?
What? No. Who, me?
Yeah.
It can't be. It can't
I have,
be.
I have a real short list, too. So.
Oh, okay. Are you sure that's not like the people that you want to avoid list?
No.
Okay. All right. Just check.
No. They're banished to the Black Forest, so you're good.
Got it. So, Johnnie, what's going on? What's up with you? What's going on in Johnnie's world?
Hey, oh my gosh, I got so much going on right now, and to the point of a little overwhelm can happen time and time again. But I know how to manage that. We can talk about that a little bit later. And but yes, I am because the world is seeing light at the end of the tunnel. And of what the darkness we've been in for, last year and all this kind of stuff. So we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. And me, and along with all of my other entrepreneur family, friends, and connections, are just like, yes, it's time that we step into a level of greatness to help others.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so I'm on a trajectory of doing that. And so I have created a 5-day challenge. It's going to happen in March, and I can tell the audience about how they can be part of that. And so right now it's like, do you ever come up with something that says, okay, I want to do that. I want to do something, and it's great. And it's like, it just pushes you outside your comfort zone and other people. And it's just like, but the end result is going to be absolutely fabulous. Ever done that? And then the journey to get there is like, woohoo, lots of work, lots of stuff. And the question is, if you had known that it was going to be this much work, would you have done it in the first place? That's the question.
Exactly.
And the people that dive in and do it anyway, regardless of, hey, I have to learn something new. I have to learn new tech. I have to connect with more people, like whatever it is. If if you dive in and just do it, regardless of whether you're worried, whether it's going to come out perfect or not, then you get the result that you aim for.
Exactly. Where you get a result.
Yeah.
Regardless, I always like to say that there's no such thing as a bad result. There's only the unexpected result.
Yeah.
Because you often enter into any situation like that, like what you just described, with a result in mind, right? You do what Stephen Covey taught us to do in the 7 Habits book, is begin with that end in mind. And then when the end doesn't meet the reality that you thought it would, it ends up being what we call a problem or a bad thing or whatever, however you want to describe it. But it's not necessarily true. It's just a different expectation, or it's a different result than what you expected.
Exactly. And guess what? Along the way, you learn something new.
Exactly. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
That's actually, it's funny that you bring that up, because that's a lot of what Make Money and Have Fun has to do with. It's this idea that somebody has some interest in something, some spark somewhere, and they're being pulled towards it, as opposed to having to force themselves into it.
Yeah.
In a sense. And when that happens, that's what allows you to see it through. Because to answer your other question that was kind of embedded in there is like, you know, everybody wants to create the biggest, best thing, but they don't want to do the work to get there oftentimes.
Yeah.
And my belief is that that happens because they pick the wrong thing. There's a thing out there that they'll climb over every mountain to accomplish it and to make it happen. And I'm sure we've seen this. You've seen this in your own life. You've seen this in other people's lives, where it's like, how did this person do this insurmountable thing, right? I heard something the other day. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard about a blind person climbing Mount Everest.
Yes, I heard that too.
Right? And it's like, how can these people accomplish these feats? And it really just comes down to the feeling that's inside of them for it, right? Are they being pulled to it, or is it something that they have to push themselves into doing?
Yeah.
Is basically what it comes down to.
You know what, Fred? The biggest takeaway from that blind person climb Mount Everest, do you think he did it by himself?
I don't know.
Of course not.
Probably not. I mean, he would have to not.
It's not. But
I don't think anybody really did it by themselves.
No, most people need help. You know, it's like you got a support system. You have to know what the heck you're doing, number one.
Right.
You just don't go out there and do it. That's really high altitude. And so, so you have to learn something, practice something, and then keep putting one foot in front of the next.
Exactly.
To be able to get to your goal.
Yeah, and I think you even hit on another point as well, which is, one, obviously, skill is involved, right? You want to build the skill, you want to train yourself and get to the point where it's actually, achievable. Yeah. But the other piece is associations and being around the right people, right? Having a guide to take you up Mount Everest is going to take you way further than any skill ever could, in a sense. So, it comes down, I forget exactly how it goes, but there's a success formula in the book 3 Feet from Gold that Greg Reed and Sharon Lechter map out. And it's this idea that passion plus, I think it's passion plus talent times associations times action equals success at that point. Manny's hanging out with us, though. I know that's his favorite book, so Manny probably knows the success equation for us. So if you know that, Manny, just drop it in the comments. We'll bring it up here. Anyway, we are so off track. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. We're supposed to be talking about books, and we're talking about climbing Mount Everest.
Well, yes.
I think there's actually a big correlation between both of those things.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I wrote my first book, here, I'll show you this little guy. Yeah. When I wrote this book, I was 21 years old.
Nice cover.
Thanks, right? I had a friend of mine make it for me. Yeah. Got the cover, and then I got me on the back cover. I got a little too much of me. I don't know. People think that I have like an ego thing. It's like I come on a show every day wearing a red jacket and being all flashy with lights and cameras and music videos. I don't know.
Wait, you're missing the bling. You're missing the bling on your collar,
Yeah, I should get like a Make Money and Have Fun gold chain. I'm sure my girlfriend would love that. Everybody would continue to hang out with me. That's why the views are slipping, because I don't have the chain on this show. That's what it is. I love it. But for me, writing this book when I was 21 years old, It was almost like climbing a mountain.
Yes.
It was this big insurmountable task that when I overcame it, it felt totally different at that point. I'm like, this is something that I can totally do. And I've written a second book since then. I have a third book on the way. What about your experience with writing, Johnnie? Was that what it was like for you writing your first book, or tell us about that?
Yeah. Actually, my first book that I ever wrote still isn't published yet. I did it for fun.
Interesting.
I did it for fun, and it's sitting on my shelf or a box somewhere, unpublished. I keep thinking about doing it just for the heck of it, do it just for the fun of it. But it's a story about totem poles. I love the art of totem poles. I've been to Alaska, and I've seen the totem poles there, and I digged into the history and how they make them and what they do and the purpose of them. And I'm like, oh wow, this is so cool. And the thing about my book, it's almost like a coffee table book. What they call that is mostly pictures and images. So I went out and got all kinds of images and pictures, and got permission to publish them and everything, and put them in, this wonderful, lovely little coffee table book, and it hasn't been published yet. So maybe that's on my bucket list to do and get that out there, because I think it's going to help people, especially young people, young kids and stuff that really enjoy visual pictures instead of reading the words. So I think it's a good thing. And
I love that.
Yeah. So that was my foray into that.
Is that who it was intended for, like younger kids to read and stuff like that, or was it just kind of a fun, like, passion project?
Yeah, just a fun thing to do. I had some people that went up and actually took some pictures for me while with them up there in Alaska, and since then, one of my dear friends that was on the trip, she passed away. So it was like almost like a little memorial and a thank you for being my friend and going up and doing that with her husband. So. That was part of it. So just just something that I wanted to do, and I don't think I did it to prove anything. I just wanted to do it. And then my second book came along, maybe, I don't know, a couple years after that. And that one came out. I never really thought I'd write something, but now I'm like juice. I could write something every day. It came to fruition because I had a coach at the time that was helping me through a lot of issues. And I mentioned the word overwhelm, at the top of the hour, because of my book. But she helped me understand. She helped me understand how I can overcome a lot of challenges and everything. And then as I was telling her about things about going on in my life and everything like that, and that I had discovered recently that I am actually a highly sensitive person. And if you've never heard that term before, it's fascinating. And I encourage you to go get my book to help you understand it more. And I even rejected that thought that I was a highly sensitive person. And until I began to see, and because in my other part of my life, I am a Tony Robbins senior leader. I've been in his organization for over 20 years. And so when you're in that environment and they want you to grow and be the best you can be and everything, and but they also really don't mind you being vulnerable. They're you would think it was a rah, make your life better and don't look back kind of thing. And it's not. It's just that they just want you to show up being your authentic self. And if you have vulnerabilities, let's learn about them and let's use them. So I combined the two in the book. And the book is actually called, because I sat here one day and I go, what could be the title of my book? What is it that my readers would want to know more than anything and want to get out of something more than anything? And I sat here and I ruminated, which is something sensitive people do. We ruminate a lot. And I go, what is it? What is it that they want to stop? What do they want to stop? And I go, they want to stop the madness more than anything.
Nice.
That craziness that we can go through emotionally and not know what to do with it. So in my book, I'm teaching people how they can thrive in the chaotic world. Be a sensitive person. Being sensitive means that basically we're born with it. It's in our DNA. We inherited it from another person in our family somewhere, and we're just highly sensitive to noise, bright lights, other people's energies. A lot of people that are empathic and spiritual and everything, they tap into that higher self, that energy that they get from outside of themselves. They tap into that and use that as a power and a strength. And the difference is between a powerful sensitive person and a person that is not powerful is that they just haven't learned yet how to use their sensitivity as a good thing.
I love that. I had a friend of mine who he does a lot of like the Ask Me Anything on Instagrams. And someone asked him about having ADHD as a business owner, which, tons of business owners have it. And it's kind of like, it's almost like a staple. Like if you have ADHD, you're going to be a business owner. There it is. Bam. Yeah. And he said the same thing that you said, is that, the question was, how did you cope with having it? And he said, I didn't. I used it, because having ADHD is a superpower, right? Similar to the same thing you're talking about with empathic people who are empowered versus disempowered. It's just a matter of learning how to use what you have in a sense and making that great for the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that title, by the way. Stop the Madness. That's an incredible title. I'm a stickler for book titles.
Yeah.
There's some people that really nail it. I had a friend of mine, Gordon Brodecchia, a personal trainer, on here a couple months ago, and he wrote a book called Unleash the Ultimate You. And I'm like, that's a phenomenal title. That's super cool. Title. Stop the Madness. That's a really good one. Yeah. I gotta pick that one up. Yeah. So Johnnie, tell us about the book. Who is this book right? What are some of the people that should come check this book out?
It's anyone who thinks that they are kind of not doing well in this world, not doing well with the, lack of better words, the pandemic that's been going on. You feel like you're in overwhelm all the time. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Maybe people are also telling you to, get a thick skin. Why are you crying? Why are you doing this? And it's like a lot of us tend to have a great sense of humor when we're at our best. We have great sense of humor, and it's like. But the thing is, our sense of humor is a little odd. We're kind of like the odd ones, and people don't get our sense of humor. We'll say something funny or crack a joke or something like that, and they're just like, I don't get it. When I've come to the point of when that happens, I go, that's okay. You're just the other 80%. And they look at me like, what? Like,
oh, geez.
Yeah, because highly sensitive people, there's been research and everything done over the years. Dr. Elaine Aron, she's one that has spearheaded this in the early 90s and wrote the very first book on it. And there's been lots of research over the years, and there's only 20, maybe 30% at the very, very most of the entire population that are deemed highly sensitive. And it's not a condition or anything like that. It's a trait and an ability. And when we look at it that way, and when I help people and uncover their sensitivities, they're just like, oh my God, I wish I'd have known this when I was a child. I wish. Right. And so then their lives would have been so much better. But so it's also for those people, but it's also for the people that maybe be a parent of a sensitive child and they don't understand them, they don't get them, and they want to help them. And this will help them open the doors and everything. But the other piece in there is I combined my world of my knowledge of being highly sensitive, the research I've done and what it is, with my training, not only with Tony Robbins, but my neuro-linguistic programming as a coach. So I've combined all of that in the book. And yeah, it's still a super easy book to read. You could read it in a day or two, probably, sitting in the bathroom.
Those are the best kind of books.
Yes.
I love that. So let's talk for a minute to the aspiring author. So I have a lot of friends of mine now who have written books, but I have a lot of friends who are in that space where they want to write a book, but they never have. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's in that space that says, I really want to write a book, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. What would you say to them?
Well, number one, if you're just starting out especially, is like, do not worry about getting a publisher or anything like that. You can self-publish yourself. There's so many resources out there now that you can self-publish, and you don't need to worry about somebody else doing it. And look at it as a project of getting your information out there. Not so much that you want to be a number one bestseller, although that's possible too. It's a different world nowadays to be a number one bestseller than it was in back in the day. So it can be totally done. It's just a matter of get the information out, and don't worry about the money you're going to make. Don't worry about, like I said, that being number one bestseller. You don't really need to be concerned about that right now especially for your first book, even your second or third book. Just you have something to say, something of value where you want to help people, and a book is a really great way to do that. So it's a matter of, I call mine a $2 business card. That's what I call mine.
Yep.
It's like, here, you want to know more about how I help people? Here, take my book.
Sure. Which is a big edification. Handing somebody a book as opposed to a little business card positions you more highly in other people's eyes. But I love that. I think that really what that does for a lot of people in that space is it kind of eliminates the boundaries that they're placing on themselves. because people, I've done keynotes on book writing, and what I realized happened is that people put all this clutter in their way. They're like, how am I going to write it? How am I going to publish it? How am I going to get it out? Who's going to do the cover? And they just give themselves all this clutter to deal with. But I love what you said about just sharing your message. The main reason why this book was written, this first book, was actually two things. One was I was competing with a friend of mine who had just written a book, and I'm like, you ain't going to be the only one that writes a book. But two was I felt like I had something to say. That was the biggest thing, and I wanted to share it with more than just my close circle of friends. I wanted to share it with a whole group of people, nationwide and worldwide. And I chose the book as the medium to do that. I mean, obviously today I'm choosing a little bit more videos and podcasting and things like that, but it's always about sharing that message. How can I get the message out there to more people so they can pick it up? And I think that's number one, like you said.
Yeah.
So after they're done writing, right now let's kind of walk them down the path here and coach these people a little bit. What would you say would be a good step two after figuring out what you want to share and kind of putting it all together?
Yeah, it's it's a matter of, you could get a person. There's people out there that actually are called book designers, and not book editors. Actually they edit the content, but a designer is someone that you can pay, and they'll come in and design the pages and everything. And I did mine myself. So you don't have to go that route if you don't want to, but you can always do that to help someone make it pretty inside, cover, backside, all that kind of stuff, make it pretty, and even more readable. It's like, if who's anybody out there read a book that they got through chapter? It's like, wait a minute, this looks funky. Something's not right. It's like the page numbers might be off. Yep. That's somebody that didn't really kind of do it right. So and once you get to a point where you have a draft before you send it out, is like, I actually hired an editor that to help me edit the sentence structure, the paragraph and sentence structure, and the language inside of it. But I gave her instructions not to change the conversational part of it. I wanted to keep the conversational energy going, but to change the punctuation and spelling, if you might. So she did a wonderful job at that. And then she sent that back to me, and then I looked at it again, found a few more other typos and stuff, and then I had someone else look at it. They found some typos. I had typos, and then just small little things, little tiny things. And then
the worst.
and then when you send the book into Amazon, you can get a sample before you actually publish. So I got the sample, and oh my God, more typos. More typos. And
it sounds like you're an author.
I found one more typo when I did a re-edit about a year afterwards. So it can happen, but you got to have as many eyes on it as possible to help eliminate some of those little goofy things that can show up. So you gotta get some help. So
so would you say that the difficulty in writing a book mostly just lies in people's heads more than anything else?
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. It is.
I think so too.
They want to know how to do everything, but the biggest thing, what pulls them through the journey and the process is your why. Why are you doing it? Mm-hmm. So when you have that passionate why, and it's like you keep it in front of you all the time, and even make a poster and stick it on the wall about why you're doing this, in case you get down in the dumps one day and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, and then just look at that poster and go, these are the people that it's supposed to help, and it's right there in front of you in your face, and that pulls you through. Take a day off, whatever. But when I wrote this, I think I got this from start to finish in 90 days, published in 90 days. But you have to understand, is like I focused on doing just this. A lot of other things that I have in my life, things that were distracting and not purposeful, I put them on the back burner. And honestly, my goal was to get it done in 90 days or less. But what happens is, it's like the goal can keep moving and shifting. So I teach people nowadays, I says, just instead of goals, have intentions. I intend to have this done by such and such a date. And then if it has to be adjusted, a goal is a hard, immovable object. isn't it? If you're playing sports or anything, like we just watched the Super Bowl yesterday, it's like that goal, is hard. You ran into it, it hurt. So it doesn't move. But what if you had a really amazing intention of having it done by a certain date or sooner?
I like that. That's better? Yeah, that's an interesting paradigm shift because I've never actually heard that one before. The world of personal development is steeped in goal setting and habits and all that fun stuff. But switching it from a goal to an intention, it's interesting the way that languaging can kind of change our meanings for everything and make things either simpler or more difficult depending on what word we use in that sense. So I like that a lot. Yeah. It almost rolls back all the way to the beginning where we were talking about expectations and results.
Yeah.
So let's jump ahead here. So the book's out. You did it in 90 days, which is phenomenal. It took me a year and a half. So I'm a slow writer, if you can't tell. But I love what your kind of method behind it is, kind of just clearing the clutter, getting yourself focused in the zone, and just going full out into this thing, doing whatever it takes, making it happen. So what about after the book? For you, I guess, why don't you tell us your story? What kind of happened after? What are you doing now? What's the Johnnie Urban story post Stop the Madness?
So after the book came out, and I worked on getting it into many hands as possible. So I did that little marketing in my circle and everything, and in because we had live networking events locally and everything. So I'd take some with me, and I would sell a few. I'd give a few away. I'd give them away as raffle prizes because I really want this to get in people's hands. And what I found is that my sales overall are a lot larger overseas than they are in the United States.
Huh. That's interesting.
It is interesting. And I go, oh, that's like what, Japan? So it is interesting. And I've talked to some people in Japan that thought about, hey, let me hire you as a coach and everything. So I've talked to people in the UK, Japan. I've coached people in Ireland, and
wow.
It's like these highly sensitive people are everywhere. They're everywhere. So you just don't know exactly where they are until you really get the message out there, and then people will buy it, and then they'll give it to somebody else. Oh, I know another sensitive person. Let me give it to them. They'll buy it with them on the phone. I'm coaching with them, and then they're like, oh yeah, my helper, my wife, my child, my whatever, I'm going to give it to them. So I'm hearing these messages. It's getting spread out there just because it's so helpful to people.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so cool that something like that could happen, where it's like you put this thing out and then all of a sudden somewhere in Ireland, someone is resonating with this. One of my favorite things, sometimes it's annoying, but one of my favorite things is when people reach out to me on Facebook, because I'm very active on Facebook. It's my number one social media, and I use it just for building business and stuff like that. And people reach out and they say, hey, I love what you're doing. I have a question about blah, blah, blah. Or I was wondering if you could coach me in blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like, this is so cool. I don't even know this person.
Yeah, exactly.
And they found me. They came to me. They reached out to me. And it's like, it's really just an interesting phenomenon. It's like my YouTube channel. All the videos, it's always the opposite. All the videos that you think are going to do great are the ones that do the worst. Yeah. And the ones that you're like, are the ones that do the best. I'm like, what? I don't get it.
You want to know why, Fred?
Why is that?
And this isn't just for you. This is for your entire audience that's listening. Is that when we show up and we make it about us, people won't listen. When we show up and we make it about others, the secret is it's not about us.
That's it.
I love it. It's not about us. It's about who we're going to help and how we're going to help them.
Exactly.
How can we lead them to greatness? That's what it's all about.
I love that. So Johnnie, what's next for you? How can people get in touch with you? You told me before this, by the way, that you got something special for our fans out there. So tell us about what's going on.
Yeah, I do. Right now, I'm gearing up to, I'm gearing up to a 5-day challenge, and I have to let you guys know, whoever's listening, that yes, I've been coaching for over 20 years now, and And I ended up coaching highly sensitive people. They're my favorite people in the whole world because we kind of get each other. And what happened is, in about 8 years ago, when I was networking and I was starting to get up and do my public speaking and talking about, helping me get clients and everything, is like the people that were hearing me had been hearing me on and off for years. And then now all of a sudden my message shifted and changed. And guess what? They sat up in their chair and they're just like, whoa, what happened? And they came up to me after my talk and they'd be like, hey, we noticed something's new about you. What is it? And can you teach me? And I go, sure. Because what happened is I learned something about my public speaking. Public speaking is a learned skill. And I learned something. I paid a couple of speaker trainers along the way, and there's a few things that worked that they taught and a whole bunch that didn't work. You have to remember, being a sensitive person, it's like a lot of things do not resonate with us. And so I took what I took away from what really worked for me. I also brought in some NLP and some Tony Robbins environment. I put it all together and created my own program. And I've been running this program for a couple of years now, online and offline, live events and online and a little bit online and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Now it's virtually 100% online, and because it had to be. But it's that this way I can reach a lot more people across the globe. And so it's called Sensitive Authentic Speaker, because the one thing that we want to be on stage is our true authentic self, and it is the one experience that our audience wants. They want to see us in our true authentic self. So when we become that authentic speaker, it changes everything. It changes everything. And you start getting that business building. You start getting clients. You start getting your book sold. You start getting all these things that you want, that you've always wanted in your business. And you get it at a huge way. And it happens real quick. And so this method and the system that I put together and learned, I'm going to be teaching it here real soon in March. I'm going to open the doors to the academy. I created an academy. Woohoo!
Nice.
And I took everything that I know and learned, and I made documents, and I got videos, and I got everything in a learning platform. And leading up into that, because I really want people to know that this is right for them, I'm going to have a 5-day challenge. It's going to launch on March 15th.
Nice.
So we're going to get together, and you're going to learn the 3 keys to an income generating message. 3 keys. There's lots of different parts and pieces that go into a message, a really great message and presentation, but there's only 3 major keys that have to be there. And I'm going to be sharing that with you on this 5-day challenge. And a way you can get information on that and sign up for it is completely free. You just come and show up. They will be recorded so that you can have access to the recording, but you've got to register. And the way you can get to that registration page is you can type in the keyword challenge to my number right there that you see right there, 714-887-8101, the keyword challenge. And you'll get sent to the page where you can register for it. And I'll be giving you all kinds between now and when it launches, you'll be getting all kinds of emails that are value-based. You're going to get a lot more information if you join now than later. So I'm so excited for it. I already got a whole bunch of people signed up for it and ready to rock and roll. And we're just going to have tons of fun.
That's awesome. I'm super excited. I'm always up for a challenge, so you'll probably see me in there as well. So remember to text that word challenge to 714-887-8101, but only if you're up for the challenge.
That's right.
Johnnie, this has been amazing. I'm super excited. I'm so glad to have you on here. Like I said before, you're one of my favorite humans out there.
Thank you, Fred.
We definitely got to do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Johnnie, what would you like to leave our guests with before we say goodbye?
The biggest takeaway that I learned myself over the years is, and so I always want to say, okay, if people only knew this one thing and acted on it, it's like, stay with the mentors that bring out the best in you, the magic in you, instead of the madness. Instead of the madness. I hired and fired so many coaches that were not resonating with who I was as a person, and they actually literally brought the madness out in me. You've never seen me angry before, but gosh darn, I can pull it out when I need to use it.
Well, not here. Let's keep this PG if we can. But I totally get that. I know exactly what you mean. Find the people that bring out the magic and stay away from the people that bring out the madness.
Yeah,
I love it. Johnnie, thank you so much for being here. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
Everybody who's hanging out with us, we'll see you again very soon. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.
See you, Johnnie.
See ya.